Hi, everybody. Welcome into today's show here on JTV. It is Wednesday. It's hump day. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency and Pataki Orthodontics. I'm David Rice. That's Adam. It's already hump day.
Hump day.
I know. Monday night was the national championship. Also coming up today on the show, I thought Aaron Glenn was confirmed going to the Jets. That's what I saw yesterday. And then my brother told me I was wrong. So I'm glad I wasn't going to share that today. I don't want to give out fake news. That's what news is now. I don't want to be fake here. But anyways, we'll also recap our visit from not too long ago to pickleball, where that definitely showed you that I need to work out more based on my shortness of breath after playing like 2 volleys back and forth.
It was also a lot warmer outside when this happened. Because
Didn't it rain that day?
It was like a dark and rainy day, but still it was just like, man, it's so much nicer than it is now. It's like single digits out there right now. You were wearing
this
shorts.
morning on my way in, it was -8.
Oh my God. You know, I saw somebody yesterday walking around downtown, pair of shorts, like basketball shorts.
No.
Yeah. Basketball shorts and tennis shoes.
Did they have a coat on?
Like those mesh tennis shoes where it's like, no, they had like a hoodie like this. Yeah. It was
Did they have a hat?
No hat. No hat, no gloves.
So that's like what I'd wear when it's not 10 degrees out.
It was bad. It was bad.
Oh no. Well, that cannot be good then. You know, seriously, if you're outside and it's negatives, you get hypothermia pretty quick.
That's right.
So hopefully you're warm.
We're not medical
somewhere.
professionals, but we at least know
No, not even close.
But we know to wear something more than shorts out today.
Yes, we're smart enough to tell you that. But back to football. The College Football Playoff National Championship was Monday night. The final score was an 11-point game. It was never really like that. Buckeyes 34, Notre Dame 23. Again, if you're a Michigan fan, you didn't want to root for either of these teams ever.
That's why I didn't watch it, because it was just like a miserable experience to see both these teams there.
It was just a couple garbage time scores late by Notre Dame, and that's why it was only ended up being an 11-point game, because the Buckeyes led 31-7 midway through the third quarter, but with a little more than 4 minutes left in the game, Notre Dame got it down to 8 points, and then they got stuffed, and then Ohio State got the ball back, went all the way down to almost score another touchdown, but ran the clock all the way down to like 10 seconds, kicked a field goal at the end just for extra measure, and called it good there. So, you know, Ohio State won the first ever playoff that they had when it was 4 teams back in 2014, and now they've won the first ever 12 team here in 2025.
That sucks.
I know. For a team that lost to, compared to recent years, a bad Michigan team.
I wouldn't call them bad.
Compared to the last few years before this.
Not they're the worst of those teams, but they're not a bad team.
Okay, sorry. Mid, as we say now.
Man, calling them mid.
Mediocre Michigan team.
Oh, mediocre's worse.
They were 7-5. 8-5.
They beat the national champions and they beat Alabama in the bowl game.
Yeah, what a season, right? 8-5. Didn't look great, but then they beat Ohio State and Alabama.
I mean, it's weird because I think we've discussed this. Like, if you go back, other than those games, it's not a successful season. But because of those 2 games, you can argue that we did our job in places.
And honestly, against the number 1 team in the country, Oregon, it was only a 1 or 2 possession game with them at the Big House until like late in the third quarter.
Texas was a little rough.
Yeah, we were there.
We were there for that one. That one wasn't great.
That was rough.
Yeah.
You know, Texas and Ohio State, who played in the semis against each other, they actually play each other at the Shoe in week 2 of the regular season.
Wow.
So what a game that's going to be. Except no Henderson, no Emeka Buka, no Quinn Ewers, no...
both of their running backs are gone, both of them.
Right. So it's going to be a very different matchup.
Yeah.
Arch Manning against whoever's going to be quarterback.
I was going to say their
Ohio State.
quarterback was senior, right?
I'm not sure.
He might be back. I think he might be back for one.
Unless if he goes to the draft.
That's true. He could declare.
He wouldn't be a first-round pick, though.
No, I think there's only how many quarterbacks do you think are going to be first round? I mean, people always sneak in there, right? Like because a Milrow, excuse me, a Milrow.
Right now,
is
he's
like,
projected second.
He's projected second round, but a quarterback Bo Nix for a while was projected second round last year. If you look up the mock drafts from this time last year, Bo Nix was second round. A lot of those guys were second round, and then obviously
he got taken top 10 or something.
He was towards like the middle because it was Denver. So yeah, I mean. I don't know how many
let's
we
see.
expect.
In the first round, Sanders,
Mm-hmm.
Cam Ward,
Mm-hmm.
Quinn Ewers.
Okay, so you're taking Ewers in the first round. So there's
Oh,
so that's three.
is he projected not
I
in the
think
first
he
round?
is. I would have to check. You keep naming them, and I'll bring up.
Well, okay, so let's see. Sanders, Ward, Ewers, Dylan Gabriel's not first round.
No, so right now, and this is according to Tankathon, which does like the first 3 rounds, I think.
Okay.
Shedeur, Cam Ward, Jalen Milrow is second round. Quinn Ewers is late second round.
Late second.
Late second to early third.
Wow.
Yeah, which I was kind of surprised by that. But again,
Do they have Will Howard in there?
those are the only quarterbacks listed. So there's only 4 listed. And then next year, Drew Ayler, Tennessee's quarterback, which I'm not going to pronounce his name. And
Nico, whatever.
that guy.
Yeah.
And then LSU's quarterback, and then Arch Manning would be the other.
Arch Manning, Garrett Nussmeier from
Yes,
LSU.
Nussmeier.
Arch, isn't he? He's a sophomore, right?
Right. So they're projecting next year, though, he'll go to the draft.
So
is
he'll
what
be
this
a
is saying.
1-year full starter and done because he started this year, but only off and on.
I mean, if they do really well next year, and you could argue that team's going to be really, really good next year, Texas. You can make an argument that he could do that, especially if he's going to be a first round, second round talent.
Well, McCarthy could have done that if all of them didn't stay that extra year, which then led to the national championship.
McCarthy,
you know what I mean? He was gonna go one and done.
Yeah, I mean McCarthy could have had a very nice season this year, and then the injury happened.
I still think he'll start next year, though.
I think so. I think the North is going to be very tough, and this is something that doesn't just impact Lions fans; it impacts you too, being a Packers fan. So you can relate. But
all 4.
I think all 4 of these teams could be doing something next year, especially if the Bears.
No, not the Bears.
I think the Bears can. I think, and we will get to it later because I know it's coming up later. Or do we want to just go into it? Do we still have more to talk about the national?
Well, just
because I will have something to say about Ben Johnson.
Well, just real quick back to Ohio State here to cap it all off for them, but I'm still surprised that they won it all. I know they look dominant the entire playoff, but for a team that barely beat Penn State, and we know how Penn State does in big games, their only other notable win in the regular season was against Indiana, and we know how that ended up being for them because the rest of their Big Ten schedule they walked through. Like they played like Tech Academy,
like they were expected to. I wasn't surprised.
Right,
I had them going to at least the semifinals in this.
Right.
And I thought they could have gone to the finals.
but then they lost to a mediocre Michigan team.
I hate that you calling it me.
I know.
because that team was still. This team is still good.
Well, compared to the national championship.
Yeah, but
team.
you compare all the Patriots Super Bowl teams. All of them are champions, but you got to pick one to be the worst. It's the same thing here. It's like all of these seasons were very good for us. It was just this one was the weakest of the lot.
Then they lose to Michigan 13-10 too, which is what Michigan had to do in that game to beat them, keep it low scoring.
Right.
But then they match up with Tennessee in the first round, and from there on, they walked their way through.
A lot of analysts said when the rankings came out, or the college football playoff came out to see who was facing who, a lot of people said, like, man, I'd much rather have Ohio State's path than even getting like a bye in the first round if they would have gotten a bye. Like, a lot of people said it was a more favorable schedule having that one extra game.
And they would have had an even easier semifinal game had Arizona State would have actually pulled it off and beat Texas.
Yeah.
Because Arizona State was not beating Ohio State.
Yeah, and I said Texas Ohio State was the real national championship, and clearly it was, because I think Texas would have won this easily.
Now,
I think they're a better team than Notre Dame.
what if it was Texas versus Notre Dame?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think Texas beats Notre Dame. So I think that's why I think that semifinal matchup was the national championship. And
What
it
about
did come down to a one
well,
play,
Notre Dame,
you know?
Penn State came down to the field goal with 10 seconds left.
It did. And
what if it would have been Texas versus Penn State?
No problem. No problem. Texas beats Penn State, and I think I even predicted that.
I predicted, my whole prediction went wrong. I had Oregon versus, who'd I have? Was it Georgia?
I had Texas, Georgia semifinal, and then the other one, it was weird enough to where you were like, you're going to have these two teams? So I'm curious what my two other teams were.
You know what? I think my other semi might have, I had Oregon, Texas semi, and then Georgia versus, was it Boise?
Yeah, so I had,
Okay, Boise.
I had Georgia against somebody, and then Texas
And then
against...
Oregon beating Georgia for me. And clearly it did not work out like that.
I just had a feeling...
So don't listen to me on my...
I just had a football, and you also said that Notre Dame would cover last night. They did not, I don't think.
They lost by 11.
Yeah, and then the line
And
we were looking
it
at was
was
like 9, 10 and a half.
It was 8.5.
8.5, oof, yeah. But still... I mean, I think a lot of people had Oregon winning the whole thing, but I don't know. I just felt like something wasn't quite there with that team.
Right. Because even in some of the Big Ten matchups against bad, weak Big Ten teams, they had like 3 or 4 one-score games against those bad teams. I remember watching them at Wisconsin, who really isn't all that great. And they only won by like 3. And then they barely beat Ohio State in the regular season by 1 or 2. That's only because Will Howard had to slide at the end. So, yeah, I knew at some point it was either they keep the magic going and they win it all, or they get Ohio State again and just get killed, and that's what happened. So, before we go to break and get to the basketball highlights, you mentioned briefly the Bears earlier. Lions offensive court, you knew it was coming though.
I didn't want it to happen.
2-18.
I didn't want it to happen then.
Right. Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson is going to sign a deal to become the new Chicago Bears head coach. He will reportedly earn around $13 million per year. First-time head coaches average usually around $8 million. That makes him annually each year pay top 3, just behind Bundleruski, Andy Reid. So
I think I think he's a great coach. We'll see what he is being a head coach. And that Bears offense, this is what I was going to say earlier. They got the weapons, and if they sign a couple extra people, they could be a very interesting
better protection
team.
up front.
Better protection. Obviously they're going to have to work a little bit on the defense, but they need their defense played really well in some of those games. Those games that they won, it was their offense that barely gave them the win. Because it was like such a low-scoring game. Caleb Williams dinking and dunking his way down the field, which that offense can work. I just believe it's going to get a lot more complex for Caleb Williams, and we'll see if Caleb Williams can put up with what Jared Goff has been doing.
And we'll see if Ben Johnson cooks something up good at trick in the playbook with the Bears versus what he did with the Lions.
There will be a lot of tricks in the playbook, I think. As long as Jameson Williams isn't on the team to throw an interception, then as long as you don't have the receiver throw the ball, then we're fine.
Your wide receiver 2 throwing the ball. And Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn is going to be taking a second interview with the New York Jets. The Saints have also been the other top of the 2 teams in the rumor mill.
I say he goes to the Saints. I say he does not go to the Jets. I say he goes to the Saints. I don't think coaches want that job.
With the Jets, you mean?
I don't think so. Not with all the scrutiny and everything that comes with it. It's kind of like it's one of those.
It's that New York.
And it's one of those unique jobs like the Cowboys job, where it's just like, all right, you have like the 28 to 29 other teams in the league, and then it's like you just have like 3 or 4 teams where it's like being a head coach for there is almost like a nuisance, and it's like the New York teams, the Cowboys, yeah, and I guess it could just be those 3, so 29 other teams, but
I think also with the Jets, it is number one because there's a guy named Aaron Rodgers there, and you know how he is. I've said it before. He's like the LeBron of football. It's his team. Rodgers is going to do what he wants with that team.
Not unless the coach comes in and says no thanks.
Well, and that's what Rex Ryan said on ESPN. He expressed interest in coming back. I know you seem not a very big fan of Rex Ryan there. But the last time they were in the playoffs or had any remote of success was with Rex Ryan.
That's true.
Long hair, Rex Ryan.
The game is different. The game is different now.
Oh, right.
That's kind of my thing. Is like I'd rather have a coach that's been in the system and hasn't been just on the sidelines. And I guess I want a coach that's on the sidelines and not a coach that's just like watching the product. You know what I mean? I just think that's a bad idea.
Well, I think it's because, again, 2 things. One, a guy named Aaron Rodgers is there with the Jets because he's going to have some sort of his own 2 cents in who's coming in. But also, maybe not because, number 2, there's a lot of uncertainty there because you don't know. Is Aaron Rodgers going to retire? Is he going to go to another team for a year or 2 and then retire? Like, you don't know what's going to happen there.
Right.
And with the Jets, it might be just like the Cowboys. They might be the GM and the head coach, depending on who they hire. So there's a lot of uncertainty with Rodgers and who they want to bring on as the coach because they might also be the GM. And if Rodgers does stay, he's going to want what he wants. You know what I mean? So there's a bunch of things like that they got to figure out.
Well, it's just if they want to get out of this hole that they're in, they need to not look towards Rodgers as being the savior anymore. It was looking like going into this season that all they were going to need was a quarterback. We talked about that so many times last year that all they need is a quarterback. And you thought they got one last year and then everything, happened. So then it was just like, okay, but he'll be healthy next year So I just feel like you got to just restructure that team now. Maybe you got to sell off some pieces. You got an early draft pick this year. I don't know if this is the year of like, we're going to go back all in again. I think this has to be if you're a head coach coming in here, you have to be like, all right, let's rebuild. Let's build for the next couple seasons to start making a run in the playoffs and not try to push this season. Like, oh, we got Aaron Rodgers. We have to do it this year. It's like, I think you need to look towards maybe getting a quarterback this draft to put behind Aaron Rodgers for a year.
And Rodgers has said he still wants a shot at a Super Bowl. That tells me if he were to not retire, he ain't going to stay in New York because he also knows that we have the pieces right now, but it's such a disaster here. We're not winning anything here. And also not just Aaron Rodgers, uncertainty if he's going to stay with the Jets or go to another team or retire. Devontae Adams. Because I've also heard and read and watched that Devontae Adams, he said he's open to coming back to either Green Bay or Vegas or a completely new team or staying with the Jets.
He should not stay with the Jets. If they have any sense for money, that new GM, head coach, or whatever they end up doing, they need to get rid of him. There's too much money tied up in him if you're also going to still have Aaron Rodgers. And then if you're not going to have Aaron Rodgers, he's not going to want to stay. So you might as well just right now, if I was going in there working on this Jets job, I would say both of you guys, hey, thanks for coming, but goodbye. And just get away with this, like, get rid of all those Packers players, no offense. And this isn't me being like, oh, I don't like the Packers. Right. But, like, get rid of all those Packers players that were on there and start rebuilding with those staples of your franchise, like Quinnen Williams and all those guys who are like, these guys, Sauce Gardner, these guys are the staples of your team, and work on that defense, making that the number one defense in the league again. And then if you have to just get by with your offense, do it. But, use what you got. And get rid of that baggage.
Baggage.
It is. All that Aaron Rodgers stuff has just been baggage this entire time. Like, we don't talk about how the Jets are playing or what they're doing. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers the entire time. It's like, get rid of him. If he wants to keep playing, go on a different team. It's not me, like, saying I don't like Aaron Rodgers or anything.
Oh, no, and that's kind of what I was getting at earlier, though, because with Aaron Rodgers, it's, whatever team he's on, it's about him and what all the headlines are going to be. Same thing with LeBron, but I like LeBron, but it's kind of the same thing with LeBron. It's like, okay, doesn't matter what team he plays for, either the Pistons or, the 2000 Lakers.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. He is the center of all the cameras and the news headlines. Whatever he says, basically it's like, oh, Aaron Rodgers and the team says this. Like, he's the front centerpiece.
But for LeBron, at least LeBron is averaging 30 a game still. Like, Aaron Rodgers is not playing well on top of all this happening. At least LeBron, whatever team he goes to, he could be on the Pistons, he could be on the Wizards right now, and he'd be averaging 35 a game. And that team would be doing,
because they have nobody else.
But that team would then be doing so much better in the standings because of that. Like, whatever team he goes to, it's going to be a positive impact on that team. Aaron Rodgers, I do not get that feeling.
I think the difference, and I agree with you mostly, I think the difference, though, with the Jets is because their front office is just such a disaster, and their coaching hoopla that has happened these last couple years is also hoopla. Hoopla is also a disaster. I know where that's from.
Thank you.
It's such a disaster because they have the pieces. Alan Lazard, who did good in Green Bay,
all these Packers players,
Devontae Adams, and people are saying, "Oh, Aaron Rodgers is still so bad now." Number one, it only looks like that because he plays for the Jets. If you look at his numbers, this was a down year for him. There's still career numbers for other quarterbacks. That's how legendary Aaron Rodgers is. People don't talk about that enough. His down year numbers that he just had with the Jets, despite a 5-12, whatever they had season, is still career numbers for other quarterbacks who had slightly better teams this year. And that's what people don't give him enough credit for.
For sure, but if you look at Aaron Rodgers, you're paying him to be that leader, especially if they almost gave him the keys to New York and was just like,
I feel like he has them because, again, I know you mentioned kind of the differences there, but there's still some similarities, like with how LeBron's always been with Cleveland or whatever team he's on. Like, whatever team he's on, he's front and center. Whatever he says is like, oh, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets talked about this after the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, Aaron Rodgers is the reflection of whatever franchise he's on.
I hope he proves me wrong and plays awesome this year. And, that'd be great for him and that'd be great for the Jets franchise. You look at their offensive line, PFF has them at 25th on the season. That's not great. So you get a couple pieces there. You could potentially roll with Aaron Rodgers, but if I was in charge, wipe the floor with all those Packers players, get them all out of here, and start different. You have a top 10 pick, so you might as well.
No, and I agree with you. I don't think Aaron Rodgers should stay there because you don't know who's going to be the coach / GM, whatever.
Yeah.
You don't know if they're going to improve their pieces on the offensive line. He has probably even no clue what the front office is going to do.
It's going to be a fun and interesting next few months, I think, for them specifically.
Well, and he said he's going to make a decision about either retire, stay for another year or two, or go somewhere else before everything starts up again in March, like OTAs or free agency, etc. So we'll find out in the next 5 to 6 weeks what he's going to do. So, but Aaron Glenn took a second interview for the New York Jets. It'll be interesting to see, really, with everything happening there. And who knows, could Devontae come back to Green Bay? They have the money because all of our receivers are young and still on those first deals. Christian Watson. And Jair Alexander isn't going to be in Green Bay next year. That's pretty much a done deal. Not officially announced, but all the signs and what he said in the locker room and to the media, he's not going to be here next year.
Bring him to the Jets. More Packers players on there.
That would be not a shocker.
No.
So we'll find out in the next few weeks everything that's going to happen with the Jets. When we come back, we're going to get to basketball highlights, Jay High versus Pinckney, Lumen Christie doubleheader, and if you missed our pickleball from when we aired it originally, me and Stu Kale are going to play some pickleball later in the show. So that's all coming up. Welcome back here on JTV. I'm David. That's Adam. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency, and thank you to Pataki Orthodontics. Great smile is always in style. A great smile is, by the way, that's a good impression, on a lot of people. So a great smile is always in style. So thanks to Pataki and Grass Lake, Hillsdale, and Coldwater. Speaking of Grass Lake, we'll be there next Friday, the 31st, for the boys' game. They take on Napoleon. More details on that next week. And speaking of Friday, this coming Friday, what's this Friday, the 24th?
I'm bad with dates. Let me see.
Yeah, today's the 22nd.
Yep,
okay.
Friday the 24th.
This Friday, we'll be back at J High as they take on Chelsea for a big SEC conference matchup. So myself and Max Fritz, 6:45 Friday night, thanks to Minuteman Sewer and Drain, M&K, the Insurance Circle, SMBT, and all of our great sponsors.
Question for you. Oh, I was muted. Question for you.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins that game? What's your opinion going into that game?
Both of those teams have the same records. Mm-hmm. So if you just look at it like that, it might be, Jackson actually has a chance. And I'm not saying they don't in their local team. I don't want to do that to them. But Chelsea has had a tough going so far this year. They've lost to a few non-conference games to big D1 or Detroit schools. They barely beat Edison, but Edison's not good. Mm-hmm. They beat River Rouge. That's a big Division I victory. But they lost to the two teams at the top of the SEC, Adrian and Tecumseh. And Tecumseh's only one game back of Adrian, who leads the conference right now. And although back to Chelsea, I still have hope for them because as far as to make some noise late in the season and make a playoff run, because Chelsea, again, only lost to Tecumseh by 1 just about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And Tecumseh and Adrian are both really good teams. But I think Chelsea by somewhere in the 9 to 13
So you think
range.
they're 10-point favorites maybe going into this game?
That's where I would put it at,
okay.
yeah. And J High is an exceptional team, but they have a mix between some really inexperienced younger players and some seniors who haven't played a lot before and are now playing a lot this year because of former people who graduated.
Interesting.
So they have an interesting mix to me.
Yeah.
So, but it'll be a decent game. So Chelsea Jackson, 6:45 Friday night, myself and Max Fritz, who will hopefully be on the podcast very soon.
Yeah, we'll get him on.
We'll have him on. More info to come. We don't know when, but it'll happen. But of course, we were at J High last Tuesday. They took on the Pirates from Pinckney, and if you missed it, here are a few highlights.
The Vikings and the Pirates are off. Jackson High wins the opening tip. Quick drive. Rebound goes off board, up and put back. Another one missed, and then a foul will be called as Jaden Drummond operating from the top, kick back out. This is a 2-ball off the mark, rebound down low. Two guys on the same team going after it. Moore goes up and gets the rebound and put back, and that's a good spot for number 2 in white.
For them, Jackson not exactly lighting it up either. It's 3-0, 3 minutes into the first quarter.
Out to Drummond, 3-ball, good. Nothing but net for Berkeley Drummond.
That is why we made him that pregame spotlight player.
Knocked away, Owen Zilka can't fall.
But I tell you, Jackson plays solid defense for a young team. There's a fast break opportunity. It's 8-0. We're going to take it. Well, I tell you, who does know that answer? Berkeley Drummond's grandparents. They are watching the game. An hour and a half drive into Jackson. They found a missed layup. Good luck.
Wide open layup, and that one is good for the first basket from the floor.
You only score 1 point in the first quarter, you would normally find yourself down by quite a bit, but Pinckney sits here just down 5 points, now 7 with a beautiful drive right there.
Takai Eswitz,
fortunate.
5-point game here.
Good luck.
Cut play and then dish off, put up jumper, mid-ranger, good.
Like they're getting into the flow offensively a little bit more.
So here we go, the race is off. 3-ball for Barbie, that one is cash. 12-8.
You see it all the time. You know, a kid.
One's no good. Jackson High gets it back. Drummond's gonna drive, dishes it off. Layup, no good. Drummond there for the rebound. Put back, tips over the line and trips over the rim.
Play against.
Outlet to the corner. This three ball, good.
Nice pass right there, Jason Carlson. The best way to go.
I'll remember that.
Yeah, you'll have a house freeze eventually. Nice pass, nice basket for the Vikings.
Back to 7.
On play with a lot of contact. Nice. Oh, he had a perfect reverse layup, just didn't get it. Drummond out by himself.
And that one falls. Carlson felt like somebody was getting the Pinckney three.
Answering, said it. Just when Pinckney thought they were going to cut into the lead, here's Drummond all by himself. I thought he might go up for the dunk.
Took the points instead, but he was in the middle of that.
And the results it produced, and I'm sure you'll see that next time out too. Nice drive.
Floater good. It was Owen.
In any pregame work in 8 years.
More so for the tie is a three ball up and good. That is.
Drummond got away with one there. Little slide of the pivot foot.
Moore with it. Gets it back into the middle.
Nice.
Dump off, and that's an easy one.
Love the unselfishness there by the Vikings.
Whole lot.
No, it doesn't. That's as articulate about that as I can get.
Right.
Yeah, I had nothing.
Three ball out for the last one of this game. 61-33 is the final score. What a performance from Jackson High against the Pinckney Pirates.
Welcome back here on JTV. Again, Jackson High this Friday night. Those are the highlights from Pinckney. Pictures from that game as well are on our website at jtv.tv. And we were at Lumen Christi this past Friday for the boys and girls doubleheader, both wins by the Titan teams. And the new updated rankings came out in both boys and girls this week. Grass Lake dropped from 1 to 4. And Leslie only dropped, from 4 to 5. And the Lumen girls are now out of the top 10. So we still have 2 or 3 ranked teams for girls in the area, and Lumen is still the top team in Division 3. So 2 good wins by the Titans last Friday in our doubleheader. And if you missed that, here's a few highlights from the Titans.
This is going to be Zibka, Klein, and Hunt on the tip, and we are underway from Lumen Christi. Kenna Hunt has
She knew the play, and Ruge didn't bite.
pressure there, pass inside, avoids the contact and scores. Will Helmson gives Divine Child the lead. There's the senior, makes it 6-3. Hunt driving inside and gets the tough layup for 2.
Power on display by Hunt there.
Pass inside, taken away by Hunt. Right there on the defense. Hunt gonna go all the way with the left hand, and Lumen Christi has the lead.
And look at that speed too, David.
Gives it over to Ganton. Hunt thought about it, pump fake, deep 3, and that one's cashed.
David, I knew that was going in the second and left her finger. She had it. Now the Falcons get it. If there's another one, Lumen will have it.
Cross court, back to the corner for 3. That one's good.
Good 3 there by Hansen. Last reliable. We'll be relying on them a lot next week, David, with those sub-zero temperatures.
Absolutely. Basket there, Cody Ruge, the junior, makes it a 3-point game. Ruge, 3 in the corner, counted and a foul.
She was not able to come down freely. Number 23.
Right to the defender, Will Helmson, all the way, pump fake, and a score. Tie game.
David, how'd she get that wide open? That was almost
2 quick fouls on her just a minute ago. Cody Ruge for three, made one earlier, and now again, Lumen with the lead.
The junior
Defense taken away by the Falcons on a fast break. And the layup is good, and it's a 5-point game.
Excellent coaching there for Divine Child.
Here comes Hunt, up by 8, under a minute to play. Hunt, Euro step all the way and scores.
She's feeling it now, David.
Strong, rebound Rozak. Titans pushing the floor. Here comes Stone. Layup is good.
Stone good off the assist by Rozak.
Pull up 3, that one good. Did she call bank? I don't know, but that one is in. LaFear gets it in the corner. Back to Ganton. Baseline jumper, no. LaFear with the rebound and score.
Good job by
Foul
LaFear.
here. Takeaway by LaFear. Down to Hunt. Got a defender behind her. Nice move. And 2.
LaFear with the takeaway and the heave-ho pass.
Both no good, so it's still an 11-point game. Hunt makes it 13. Here's Rozak, under 3 minutes to play. Puts up a layup, no good off the glass. Great offensive rebound and a score for the junior boys.
We just love hearing that, especially at the end of these games.
That shot's no good. There's the final rebound by Hunt, and that is going to do it for the first game of our doubleheader tonight. The Lumen Christi girls go to 7-3 on the year, 54-36.
Number 40, Andrew Stars.
And we are underway with the boys game and our doubleheader on JTV. Luke Trope is going to have it. Man with it, gives it up to Schuer. Number 10, Ben Schuer is their leading scorer here with the ball for the Mustangs. Averaging 19 a game. Ball's on the floor, shots up, and it's good.
Good job by the big man, Andrew Stars right there, the senior.
Couple players out tonight with injury or illness for Lumen Christi. Going to be a little bit different of a look on the rotation as Cadale Williams for the first 2.
The power, he just got it.
Rebound Crowley. Gives out to Cadale Williams. Oh, almost showtime there, but 2 points.
Lays it in.
And we've got an injury. Number 11, Cameron Head. See Crowley there on our replay. He gets up okay. Williams almost went with the dunk, just couldn't. Burgess will pass it in. Trope, corner 3. Yes, sir.
Oh, and points after it. He knew that one was going in. Points
Comes up short. Crowley pushing the pace. Lumen up 7-2. Trope with another 3. That one's good. Luke Trope on fire with 2 long threes. Play in the opening quarter. Pass inside the Stars, and the 2 is good. Crowley inside with the left hand and a nice finish.
And Crowley goes.
Williams, under a minute to play. Nice move, and the left hand finish.
Oh, Cadale Williams. What?
Corner 3 from Schuer. That one's no good. Fighting for the rebound. Here comes Williams. Showtime. Throws it down.
Cadale never gave up on that one.
Not to. I don't think Coach Trope was too happy with that. Coming back the other way. Corner 3 is Cash. Jack McMahon.
Their points in transition. David McComb is capitalizing on them. That's what they need to get back into this game.
Kalahar, 3 points for number 3.
But then Lumen Christi Brothers today at 517-764-7888.
Corner 3, yes sir. That makes it a 12-point game. That's number 10. Here's Schuer again. Got the takeaway on defense. 2-on-1. Layup is good, and the foul counted.
It'll be a Dr. Ekbo and 1 right there.
Taken away, Burgess right out of his hands.
Ripped it away from him, got it to Cadale.
Williams, Trope, yes sir. Corner 3. Timeout Mustangs.
That's what the...
With 6, with 5. Freshman Burgess in the corner with 2. Trope's got to get it off at the buzzer. Shot good! At the horn. Luke Trope. Howley gets the 2 to go.
This is when Lumen can have fun with lane open. He could have even drawn the foul if he would have went for the bucket. Decided to be unselfish.
Trope, nice layup. There's a rebound.
They're gonna live and die on that 3 hill here.
And the layup is good. Roden Burgess.
And it's Lumen just playing with the Mustangs here now.
Here's a 3, pump fake, shot's good. That makes it 63 to 39.
Glass or replay system couldn't handle it.
Shore in the corner, hits another 3. Back to back. And of course, our photographer Carson here earlier, you can check out his pictures from both the girls and the boys game online. The #1 team in Division III, Lumen Christi Titans, are now 12-0, 77 to 48 is your final score in a blowout conference victory.
Welcome back here on JTV. Thanks to, again, Pataki and the Insurance Circle. And of course, thanks to Jackson High and Lumen. Always great hospitality there. And we will be back at J High this Friday. And then we will be at Northwest on Monday next week. And then Grass Lake again next Friday for the boys taking on a very young Napoleon team. So, back in the summertime, recently improved at the Old American One Event Center is Crossroads Pickleball. And as I introduced him in the segment, Packer shareholder.
Oh, gosh.
And a friend of the Rices, Stu Kale, who is the best pickleball player in Jackson County. You can even ask arguably the second best player, Joe Hawley, that too. And
I thought you were about to raise your hand.
That answer.
I thought you were going to raise your hand and say it was you.
No.
Well, I do have to say that my first time ever seeing pickleball, it looks like tons of fun. It's something I definitely want to try. And that place is awesome. I would love to go there.
It is, and you have to download the app to sign up to book your court for the times that they have just open play. But they have leagues, singles, men's and women's doubles, mixed doubles, and different tournaments for beginners or experts throughout some weekends and special days as well. So all that's on their website and on the app to reserve your times. And you know, you have to pay, but you don't have to be a member to play there either. So, and obviously you get extra, potential time or benefits by being a member. And I highly encourage you to do that and follow them on Facebook too at Crossroads Pickleball. So, myself and Stu Kale playing pickleball at Crossroads. The David Royce Show on the road today here at the Old American One Event Center. The new one right over there. We're here at Keeley Park, Jackson County Fairgrounds. We're going to be talking today with Stu Kale now from the Crossroads Pickleball. That's what the Old American One Center is now, the American One Community Rec Center. Crossroads Pickleball. Pickleball, to me, the fastest growing sport anywhere. I've played a couple of times, but I still might need some basics on how to exactly play. And for those of you watching or listening that maybe haven't played either, well, we're going to talk to Stu Kale from Crossroads and get some inside knowledge. And who knows, maybe we'll even show you that we're going to play some pickleball. So let's go inside and talk to Stu. We're inside now here at Crossroads Pickleball. Fellow Packers shareholder, Stu Kale from Crossroads. Thanks for doing this, for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
So Crossroads, of course, we're inside the Old American One Event Center here. Many events held here is what people know this building for. And now it's the home of the pickleball.
Yeah, it was a roller rink at one point. I know I've been to weddings here. I've been to a circus here once before, Crossroads. And so our partnership with the county has been fantastic. And of course, American One coming in and investing in this building for all new bathrooms, shower. It's incredible inside from where it was at almost a little bit over a year ago.
Yeah, in just a year, it went from that to all of this now, and great partners helping to make this possible too.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got support from 6 businesses here in Jackson. So each of the courts are named after those businesses. So when you go on the app to go reserve a time or book a court, those are actually the court names that you'll see right there on the app.
Yeah, and of course, there's memberships available, right?
Yeah, so we wanted to make our model a little unique. We looked at models across the entire state of Michigan and actually across the U.S., and we wanted to make it so that your membership got you something. A lot of times membership just gives you a little bit earlier access to reserving courts or to getting into tournaments or open play. So we actually have 2 different membership options. You can have the option where basically you get to play unlimited in the mornings most days of the week, or we have like a more of an elite one that if you want to say, hey, I'm all in, I want to play a little bit more. And both of those membership options give you a discount on leagues and tournaments and other things we have here at Crossroads.
And for beginners or somebody who maybe hasn't played pickleball or very limited, you guys offer intro to pickleball classes.
We do, and we were warming up a little bit earlier, and you do not need those classes. You're going to be totally fine. But we do an intro to pickleball class, typically runs about every other week, and it is a great, we've had over about 250 people or so have gone through that since we've opened our doors last year. It's a great way to learn the game. There's a lot of funky rules about pickleball.
Yeah.
They're not overly difficult to get. If you're a tennis player, sometimes it's hard to switch your brain off a little bit, but there's a lot of rules, and we want to make sure we can go through those with you so you have the most fun when you get out here.
Right, yeah, I was just going to ask, some people might think, oh, is it just tennis? Not exactly. Slightly different. There's quite a few different rules that can get funky.
It is, yeah. There's this middle section of the court. It's called the non-volley zone. People call it the kitchen. You're not allowed to go in there.
Right.
Unless the ball goes in there first. So sometimes that's a hard one for a lot of people to get. But yeah, it's definitely has characteristics of tennis, characteristics of ping pong, but it's its own unique game.
Yeah, and you guys have mixers and other events too here, right?
Yeah. So we've had, I think, 3 or 4 mixers since we've opened a year ago. Mixers are so much fun because you get a bunch of people together that may not all play at the same time. We've got multiple courts set up for advanced and intermediate and beginner. So sometimes people want to learn a little bit like, hey, could I play up a level? And that's a great time to do it.
Yeah. Of course, I won't need the lessons, but I think we should step out here, right? Show people what they want to see, right?
Let's show them. Let's show them.
Let's do it. So, real quick here, before we actually get to the action of the game, like we mentioned earlier, slightly different rules than tennis. If you want to explain maybe quickly here some of the differences between tennis and pickleball. Obviously, we're right here, the kitchen, right? We're the non-volley.
Yeah, we're in the zone you don't want to be in.
Right.
You don't want to be in. Now, I was not a big racket sport player, so I didn't play a ton of tennis leading up to pickleball. So I don't know all of the comparisons, but I'll tell you kind of the basics of the game. The games are typically played to 11, normally played in doubles is generally how you see. You can play as singles, it's a great workout, but typically it's doubles. At Crossroads, we play where the side up against this wall here starts out serving, it doesn't really matter. And you serve the ball into the opposing corner. The ball cannot fall into this non-volley zone on the serve, and that includes that front line. So it's got to go all the way in. It can hit the back line, the sidelines, but it can't go in that front one.
And so then it's got to be like a diagonal from that box to that box or vice versa.
Exactly. And you only, typically scoring is done where it's only when the team that's serving it is the one that would get the point in the event that would happen. So if there's a rally scoring, but that's not as common as you'd find. So.
All right, well, now that we got the basics out of the way, I'm going to take a few shots.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And
no. So
underhand.
If you drop the ball, if you do not let the ball hit the ground and you hit it, the paddle's got to be going downward like this. You got to really hit it below your belly button.
Right.
And then you got to go on an upward motion. So you can't go like this to serve the ball.
Right.
But if you drop the ball, you can basically do whatever you want as long as you bounce it.
Right. Going to be bounce here, and then the underhand. And see, that wasn't very good there. That's got to be diagonal in the square.
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, you want to typically hit it. Really, when you're serving the ball, there's a lot of strategy you can put into your serve. It's really not as important, to be honest with you, especially if you're just learning the game. But really, typically, further back, the better. Now, keep in mind, the team that's serving the ball also has to let the ball bounce one more time on their side before they can basically then kind of have a free-for-all.
Right.
So I would serve to David, David would return it to me, we have to let it bounce one time, and then it's fair game, you can hit it out of the ground, but it can only be hit one time per side.
Right.
All right. So we'll go serve, so I'll have you just return it back to me, David. The best idea when you're returning a serve is to try to get it back here the best as possible, this back third. This area in here, you really never, ever want to be in.
Right.
You really want the game to get up right up here to the net, and then you do what's called dinking. It's kind of funny, but that's the term it is.
Right.
And that's where we're just kind of hitting the ball over the net, and we're waiting for basically someone to make a mistake.
Right.
Is more or less what happens there.
Be mostly back here.
Yeah,
So.
you want to be back there. Yep. All right. All right. All right.
And see, on the other way back, you got to let it bounce one time.
I would let it bounce once. Yep.
Yep.
All right, we'll do it again. Okay, here we go. I let it bounce once.
Oh! Okay,
Counts.
so
It counts.
Does that count then?
It does, yeah.
It goes over the net and on the line.
It does. Yeah, so in different to tennis, when I'm serving the ball, if the ball hits the net and still goes inside the square, it counts.
Right.
So, but yes, that would be. But normally, typically you apologize after a shot like that because it's kind of cheap how that happened.
Yeah. But hey, a point's a point.
A point's a point, yeah.
There you go.
So that was short.
Yep.
So you don't get a point.
Right.
And I don't get a point because we're playing standard.
You have
All right.
to serve to get the point.
Yep, so it's 0-0. There we go.
Huh.
All right, 1-0. Oh, good. Oh, all right. So it's 1-0, your serve, and you're going to be on that side of the court. Yep. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, you're going to be on that side of the court. We're playing a little backwards of how we started, but regardless.
So even though they don't get the point, they still won that and they switched sides, right?
You go back to the, so technically you would have normally started the game off on that side.
Yep.
So if you didn't score a point on yours, in singles, you'd go back to that side that you were at. So since I scored a point, I was an odd, so I'd be on this side.
Right.
But we'll just play it this way for fun.
Yeah.
So it's 0-1. There we go. Good, David. That's in. That's a point.
So that's what's up.
All right. So that's basically pickleball in a nutshell.
Yeah. So you know, I'm sweating here. Recover from it. No, that's awesome. I've played a few times, but I will have to come back though. So the mixer is open to anybody to come in?
Yeah, so members get a discount on that, but everything that happens at Crossroads happens through the Court Reserve app. So if you go on our website, it's pretty easy to find, but if you have any questions, message us on Facebook or shoot us an email.
Yeah, of course, follow Crossroads Pickleball on Facebook. Keep up with all their events. Do appreciate the time today. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Absolutely. Thanks, Dave.
So that was a lot of fun. I feel like we need to do that again at some point.
Yeah,
right now it's a
yeah.
little cold.
Yeah, it's a little cold, but that's indoors.
Right.
We'll get everybody in there. But yeah, I think it'd be fun to do some sort of challenge. How about like me and you against Austin and Noah?
That would be the most epic episode of television of all time.
See?
That would be our most watched segment in the history of JTV if we did that.
Oh, there you go.
But
there
no,
you go.
thanks
Good idea.
thanks to Stu and Crossroads for having us, and again, follow them on Facebook and on social media for different mixers. They also offer sometimes classes as well, more instructional pieces too. So I thought I was going to need that. I've played pickleball before. I'm still not great, which would make our game with the four of us even better. So, and again, anytime before we go, subscribe to JTV Sports, to your favorite school, for how much?
Free.
That's right. And again, one more time, we will be at Northwest next Monday, the 27th, as they take on Lumen in boys basketball action here on JTV. So that's going to do it for us. Have a great rest of your Wednesday. Have a great Thursday, weekend, whenever you're watching and listening. We appreciate it. Thanks to the Insurance Circle, and we'll talk to you next week.